Hello, my name is Lion, and welcome to Liontail Gaming. On August 11th, Final Fantasy XIV patch 5.3 is launching, and with it, the free trial is expanding, allow players to level to 60 and experience the first expansion, Heavensward. In my last video, I covered tips and advice for new players, but I didn't get to answer this question as it needed its own video. What class should I play? The easy answer is whatever class you think looks cool and fits your playstyle. All classes in 14 are unique and fun to play, and I say this having played most of them. But I wanted to give my opinion on my top 5 classes for new players. Also remember, Final Fantasy XIV allows you to play every class on one character, and switch to it at any time as long as you're not in combat, dungeon, or raid. All you have to do is unlock it and switch. So here are my top 5 classes for new players, but really quick, if you like Final Fantasy XIV and other MMOs, please consider limit breaking that sub button. I can't tell you how happy it makes me to know that you're enjoying my content. So thank you. And here is the first job, the Paladin. I wanted to start off with the Gladiator, whose advanced job is the Paladin. I chose a tank and specifically the Paladin, as this class offers a ton of diversity in leveling and endgame content as well. As a tank, you'll have a fairly easy time leveling and will be able to play through at a solid pace as you won't have to wait through long dungeon queue times, as tank queues are almost instant. Paladin has an easy time leveling as their damage is good, and also gain access to healing spells, which helps out a lot in case you pull one too many mobs. The class abilities are easy to pick up, combo well, add raid utility, and also grow in complexity as more spells are learned in later levels. Paladins have majestic white and silver artifact or class-specific armor and fit into any raid or dungeon group. I also chose Paladin because they are one of, if not the best class to solo old content with. So when you're level 70 or 80, you can go back and run through some or most old content depending on fight mechanics by yourself and farm for mounts or glamour gear. This is something I really enjoy, so I wanted to make sure I mention this in my first recommended job. Next up is the Conjurer, which advances into the White Mage. White Mage is a pretty straightforward healing class with direct and healing over time effects for your party. The White Mage is a class that will teach you the basics of healing as you go, but also will not be replaced by more complicated healers in the endgame. White Mage damage is straightforward, and they have some very awesome looking and effective AoE damage abilities to help you with dungeon clears and bringing down mobs while you level. White Mage also has some very beautiful class armor, and it only helps to make the healing that much better when you look good doing it. As I mentioned with Paladin, playing as a healer will help you move through content, as healer queue times for dungeons won't be very long at all. White Mage was my first and go-to class when I want to play healer, and a job I definitely recommend. Continuing with the Mage theme, we have the inverse of the White Mage, and that is the Thaumaturge, which advances to the Black Mage. Black Mage is seriously fun to play as you balance between big damage and spending mana with fire spells and restoring mana with ice. As you level, the rotation can get fairly complicated in the endgame levels, but for me, it keeps the class exciting and the spells get larger and hit harder. Seriously, if you love huge spell effects, explosions, slinging fire and ice, and actually casting with your weapon, I'm just salty at Warcraft, that's all. Just don't mind me. I mean, why bother making all these awesome looking caster weapons if you just cast with the weapon strapped to your belt or sitting on your back and you just throw stuff around with your hands? It just doesn't make sense to me. I just don't get it. So anyway, you'll enjoy Black Mage. Yeah. The level 50 artifact gear is iconic, and it's a look that I glamour to 3 expansions later. It just looks so cool to me. Black Mage brings big damage to any raid, fun and engaging rotations to manage in later levels, and it's the job I recommend to anybody that wants to play as a caster. Number 4 on my list is the Archer, whose advanced job is the Bard. The Archer, a ranged physical DPS class, and it's the only ranged physical DPS class you can choose until you complete the quest to unlock the Machinist at level 50, but that's okay because Bard is really cool. They have arguably the flyest style in all of 14. Bards are able to use abilities while moving, so learning how to kite while leveling will help keep you healthy, and you'll be able to take on mobs quicker without having to heal in between. Along with DPS, Bards also bring utility to dungeons and raids with their songs to bolster their allies. Again, this is another class you can take from your first steps in Eorzea all the way to endgame raids. There is also a performance system in 14 where Bards can compose and perform their own songs. What I'm showing you does not do this justice, and I'm sure there are entire videos on this aspect alone. So if you're digging Bard, I encourage you to check those out, and if you want to look fly and write your own battle song, then you can't go wrong with playing a Bard. Finally, I saved the best for last. They have the coolest, most awesome class armor in the game, or at least it has the most spikes on it. So this is the Dragoon, which starts out as the Lancer. This was my very first class in the Java mains all the way up until Stormblood, and I still have a max level Dragoon today. I'm completely biased, but I do love this class. Leveling isn't too hard, and playing as a Dragoon will teach you ability positioning. This means certain abilities are stronger or will give a buff when they are performed from behind or at the flank of your target. This is outlined in the abilities tooltips, so yes, it is OP to read your tooltips. Dragoon combos are straightforward, and they also use jumps to rain down damage onto their enemy. You can use these jumps to help reposition during a fight. They also have a super stylish backflip. Now look, being new, you'll probably use the backflip to get out of a boss telegraph, and you might jump off a platform and die, or jump right into another boss AoE. I've seen it happen, I've never done it, don't at me, but I'm just warning you, it can happen. Also, did I mention how badass the Dragoon class armor is? Like, this alone is all the reason you need to main a Dragoon, but they also bring raid utility to the table as well. I started my journey in Final Fantasy XIV as a Dragoon, and I'm so glad I did. I highly recommend this class, and did I mention the class armor? That concludes my video on top 5 classes for beginners. If you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up, and if you want more Final Fantasy and MMO videos, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it really does help me out and motivates me a lot, so thank you very much. Live streaming links in the description below, and I will see you in the next video. Please take care and be kind to one another.